the first time in over 10 months, South Africans could be in the dark. This as Eskom warns of a high risk of up to stage 4 load shedding this weekend. Group Chief Executive Dan Marugana says this is potentially a temporary setback. He says over the past 7 days, Eskom has experienced several breakdowns that require extended repair times. This has necessitated the use of all emergency reserves, which now need to be replenished. At the same time, the National Energy Regulator of South Africa, NERSA, has announced that it's approved electricity tariff adjustments for Eskom for the next 3 years. For the 2025-26 financial year, the regulator approved a tariff increase of 12.7%. Eskom was seeking a 36% hike. For the 2026-2027 financial year, NERSA approved a 5.3% increase compared to Eskom's expectation of 11%. And for the year 2027-28, Eskom was given an increase of 6% compared to the 9% that it was looking for. The Ministry of Electricity and Energy has welcomed the announcement, but added that the lower than expected tariff increases would likely place pressure on Eskom to stay the course with its planned investment strategy to strengthen and modernize its generation, transmission and distribution infrastructure. Well, for more on this, I'm joined by Professor Sampson Mamphweli. He's the head of the Energy Secretariat at the South African National Energy Development Institute. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. So there's been a long reprieve of load shedding. What's your reaction to the latest announcement from Eskom about the possibility of load shedding this weekend?
Good afternoon to you and the viewers. It's a little bit shocking. I didn't expect this because I looked at their projections from the 1st of September to the 31st of March 2025. Their projections were indicating that there won't be load shedding during this period. However, I know that they were expecting the return to service of about 4,150 megawatts by the 13th of January this year. Looking at their statement, there is a delay in the return to service of some of the megawatts that I have mentioned, or some of the units that I have mentioned. And the other issue is the energy availability factor has now collapsed. By the 9th of January, it was sitting at about 56.7% or so. Now with the announcement, it then means that it has gone below that 57% that was going towards the right direction. Their projections were that the energy availability factor will improve to about 63% or so. And that is also the projection that is in the draft integrated resource plan. So there's a kind of a mismatch between their projections and what the statement is saying now. So that's a cause for concern for me.
So to what extent do you think the generation recovery plan has been effective in creating a buffer against rolling blackouts?
It has been very, very effective. It's a number of factors, actually. The first one is the President's Energy Action Plan, for which the Generation Recovery Plan came after, and the implementation of the Energy Action Plan. With the government giving Eskom 256 billion to service their debt and then to use their balance sheet to fix the Eskom fleet, we've seen huge improvements. From the time when they started with this, the energy availability factor or the breakdowns were quite high. In numbers, they were above 18 gigawatts. And now we're sitting with breakdowns that are about 14 gigawatts, which means there's an improvement of about 4 gigawatts from the initial time that the Generation Recovery Plan kicked in to date. The reasons around the delay in the return to service of the units that they are busy maintaining is what I'm very much looking forward to hear, because that will then mean that there will be an impact on their maintenance program going forward, or like what the CEO is saying, it could be something that is short term, but if it's long term, then they need to look into it and try to manage it as quickly as possible.
Yeah. So, Professor, in the meantime, NERSA has granted the utility yet another tariff increase. Of course, it's not the 36% that they were looking for, but it's still 12%, double digits. And there has to be a question mark about how sustainable this is going to be year in, year out. People keep on complaining about the cost of living. And also, you know, to add the salt to the wound, they're not guaranteed of actually getting the energy that they need.
Yeah, so Eskom applied for 36% because that is the actual cost of generation of electricity. So because our tariffs were not cost reflective for the longest of time. And that was because South Africa wanted to attract investments and grow the economy using the low-cost electricity. And Eskom has been trying for the longest of time to come up with cost-reflective tariffs. I didn't expect them to get 36% or more. I expected them to get somewhere around 18% or so. They've now gotten the 12% for the first financial year, which is 2025-26. There's a huge deficit that they need to work on. So there are a number of initiatives that the Minister of Energy and Electricity has been working on with Eskom in the background to try and deal with their sustainability kind of a thing, so that they don't necessarily rely 100% on the electricity tariffs. The fact that municipalities owe Eskom a lot of money, that some of which they cannot collect from their residents, is also a worrying factor. Last time I checked, that debt was way above 70 billion rands. And when they look at the Eskom balance sheet and look at the cost of generation, that is also taken into consideration. It's something that needs to be dealt with, and I know that the minister is very much working on that to try and deal with that aspect. So once that aspect has been dealt with, you're looking at some few billion of rands that will come back into the Eskom balance sheet going forward. That will then provide them with a little bit of a financial reprieve. So the work that the minister is doing is quite key in the sustainability of Eskom and also in the electricity prices going forward. However, I still feel that government will have to come on board and try and assist Eskom through the shareholder equity injections, or what the general public normally refer to as bailouts, so that Eskom can be able to survive while these other interventions that the minister is coming up with and the Eskom management are trying to put in place are yet to kick in. But it's very important that the maintenance program is maintained through the generation recovery plan. Eskom continues to maintain the coal fleet so that we continue to have lower risks of load shedding, because this means quite a lot on the South African economy going forward.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Professor, for your time and insights there. That was Professor Sampson Mamphweli. He's the head of the Energy Secretariat at the South African National Energy Development Institute, also known as SANEDI.